Simon Pepe. I'm a success coach. The context of what we'll do over this next 25, 30 minutes that we'll be together. Now, I want to read basically how this all came about, really, how this thing called relationship all came about. And I want to take it from the Bible. So the Bible is a really good tool in order to learn some very important things. And now the Bible, this is not about religion, first of all. So before you guys go, oh my God, religion. No, this is about spirituality. And spirituality to me, and I like to redefine words sometimes, spirituality is really your connection to God, if you will. And so that's what we're going to be looking at there. So the Bible says in Genesis, and the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. And therefore a man shall, and this is what Adam said once he had the woman. He said, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And so that's how we want to be looking at our relationship, whether it be a marriage, whether it be a committed relationship, whatever it is that you're creating there in your domicile at this moment in time, that you are brought together through a situation that's going on, and we don't know how long we'll be in these domiciles, if you will, but we do know one thing: it's going to be a little bit longer than now. So we want to get the best out of our relationship that we possibly can in order to create what it is we say we want out there. And the thing about a relationship is that Napoleon Hill, when he was studying all of the richest people in the world, he basically came across a principle. In fact, he spent, I think, 20 years putting together his notes and he wrote a book. And the book was called The Secrets of Success. And basically one of the first secrets that he came on, I think there was 16 or 17 of them that were in the book. But the very first one or second one was what he called a mastermind alliance. And what a mastermind alliance is basically where two or more people come together, you form an alliance. And this one person individually is powerful, creation, etc., on their own self. And this person brought together is powerful unto their own self. But when they bring those two powers together, in this case called marriage or relationship, it enhances that power tremendously. And that's and what he said, and when he spoke many times afterward, he said the most important mastermind alliance that there is that of husband and wife. Because again, if we work in harmony, we're going to be creating a powerful place. If we're working out of harmony, we're going to create not so great a place. Jesus said, where two or more come together in my name, there am I also. So however you want to say it, however you want to speak about it, where two people come together working on the same goals, then they're going to create those goals more effectively, more rapidly. And so that's really how I want you to look at your marriage or your relationship. It's a mastermind alliance. It's a partnership. And the partnership needs to work in the same direction of what it is that you want. Now, if you want financial security, if you want children that are raised in a proper way, if you want harmony within the relationship, if you want great friendships, whatever it is that you guys come together as a goal, your best bet is to work in harmony toward that goal. Now, a lot of times in relationship, I know that you people don't do it out there, but some people do this. Rather than working in harmony, especially where turmoil comes on, then sometimes we start working against each other. And we start doing this, if you will, in the relationship, rather than doing this, moving us forward, if you will. And when we start to do this, then everything gets out of whack. Because it's like anybody who's trying to do something and you're fighting against it. It's almost like the crew that the rowing people. They have a rowing situation, and the rowing is basically doing. Everybody's doing it at the same pace. They have a person that's doing the cadence, if you will. And so everybody needs to row at the same pace. And when they're all rowing at the same pace, what's happening is they're moving smoothly through the water. But if somebody starts to go against the grain, they stop rowing, or they start arguing with the guy in front of them because he's not rowing the way he thinks he was. And now all of a sudden, the boat starts to go in circles, slows down, etc. It's the same with marriage. So when we're together, working on the same thing in harmony, we're going to be much more effective than if we're working in this way. And like I said, a lot of times we end up more of adversaries, if you will, and especially in situations. I mean, we got a lot of things going on out there in the world today that I don't know. I've been around almost 75 years. I haven't experienced anything this way. I mean, we've experienced a lot, but this is the one new one we've got to deal with. And so we got to come together as a partnership in our relationship to make this happen, rather than, again, bucking the system, if you will. Now, one of the things that, you've heard that one saying, and it's very popular saying, and the saying is, happy wife, happy life. You ever heard that before? Happy wife, happy life? And I'm sure it's true. Now, the only thing is, though, that there's two people in the relationship. So I think it's more of happy spouse, happy house, as opposed to happy wife, happy life. Happy spouse, happy life, or house. It doesn't work if it doesn't rhyme. Happy spouse, happy house, it's going to work. Happy spouse, happy life doesn't work, it doesn't rhyme. See what I'm saying? But then, that's a little joke, by the way. So what we want to do then is really work on the partnership that each of us to create the happiness within the house. Because if we're just having one person be happy and we're putting all our energy onto that one person only being happy, then something is left asunder over here, and it's not going to be a great team. So we want to go by happy spouse, happy house. Okay. So now let's talk about some of the things that make us different. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but men and women are different. You ever notice that? So, and different in so many ways. They're different in regards to where they came from, their makeup, their not makeup that they put on, but makeup of how they are made, their ethnicity, their where they grew up, what they learned, what they didn't, the male, female. So there's so much difference in human being. And yet God said, okay, now go together with all that difference and have a great life, etc. Come on, it's going to take some work. And I think that one of the things that we need to learn more so is because we're dealing with a lot of different intricacies about relationship. We're dealing with our own stuff, and then we're also dealing with the stuff of the spouse. So there's a couple of ways. There's two things I think that every partner, relationship-wise, should know. And that's how to get the best out of a man and how to get the best out of a woman. You see? So we're going to assume that that's what we've got here. So first of all, men and women, I'm going to say this to you. This is very important for you to learn and to use. Because it's not only something to learn, it's like everything. If we don't use it, we'll lose it. So we have to practice these things. But and a man needs a lot of things, just as a woman does. But I'm going to get a little bit more. I'm not going to go through all of the intricacies of it. But what really a man, more than anything, I believe, and this is, again, my thoughts on it. I have theories, quite a bit of them, actually. But and that's what I'm going to use here, though. But what a man needs more than anything, I say, is acknowledgement. of all the things that a man could really get himself built up for is acknowledgement. And so women, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here. If you want to get the most out of that man that you're with, acknowledge him. He takes the trash out, start a parade. Wow, great job. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you doing it. You watch how many times that trash will get out there. You know, or anything else. If he's doing something, catch him doing it right. You know, don't look for catching him doing it wrong. I mean, you could find either one, I'm sure, with all of us, really. Well, not my wife, of course. I don't do anything wrong, but I mean, you mere mortals out there. So, but and by the way, don't ask her. She'll lie about that and say I do things wrong. But yeah, but so catch the man doing things right. Acknowledge him. Let him know how much you appreciate him. Let him know what a good job he's done, etc. Even the littlest things. Because when you're acknowledging the littlest things, those things are going to grow, and then he's going to be doing much more bigger things. It's interesting, too. I've seen this so many times with little boys at a swimming pool. The little boy may jump into water, and all of a sudden he is jumping in the water, and the parents may go, "Hey, good job, Johnny," and then Johnny sees that, he go, "Oh," and then he goes around again, jump in the water. "Hey, oh, good job, Johnny." Johnny will do that all day long if he is allowed to do that. And finally, after a while, unfortunately, the parents go, "Hey, Johnny, that's more than enough." But Johnny will keep doing that. Now, Johnny doesn't really grow up. He gets older, but that little boy is still within that man. And so when Johnny is older and he is doing what he's doing for a living, he's doing there at home, whatever he's doing, that acknowledgement is going to ignite him. It's going to give him more power, more strength, more courage, more creativity, more effectiveness. And ladies, you want that out of your man, you say. You don't want to have him down. You want to have him up, you say. And so in order to do that, though, you have a way of being able to do that, and that is through acknowledgement. So start practicing that. Start letting him know what you appreciate about him, and doing things for him, or letting him know that you care for him, you thank him for the things he's doing, etc. That you trust him in this time of turmoil. That you know that we're going to pull this together and we're going to create it. And I know I can count on you to do that. And there's no doubt in my mind you've helped us through so many things before, etc., etc., etc. Whatever it is, then that's where you've got to be, etc. Now, men, I'm going to give you the keys to the kingdom also. And again, women, they have a lot more going on within them than we do in us. But I think that one of the things that we want to have, the woman wants to have more than anything, I'd say, of all the things that she wants. And I think that the one thing, though, that would make her very happy, very secure, whatever, is the feeling of security. I think that that's one of the things that females really thrive on, to be secure. And I don't know where that comes from. If I think about it, it could be, they felt secure with daddy. Daddy was bringing them home the money, or whatever, a mom, or whatever that might be. But I'd say that that's a very, very important part. And now at this moment in time, maybe, just maybe, they're not feeling as secure. There's so much news going on about what's happening and what's not happening. The jobs, they're sending people home. They're not, the people are just frightened, and all the other things that are going on. So there may be a little problem in that area that women need the most, which is security. So guys, you are the ones that are going to be able to help her to see that she is secure, that there are things that are going to work and are going to be made happen. And you got to be in that confidence level to let her know that. If you've got some trials and tribulations and fears and doubts, etc., and who doesn't, your wife probably is not the one to go tell that to. Find someone else. Find a friend or a coach or someone that you can have these conversations with. But from her perspective, you need to keep her secure. in the knowledge that this too shall pass. And by the way, it will. We've been through so much, and we will go through probably more out there in the world. And so it's not about whether we're going to get through this or not, but it is about how are we going to do it together in our relationship. So, and again, you know, the interesting thing, I always said this with regards to marriage especially. I think marriage is the best therapy that you could ever get. Any relationship, and no backdoor, no other option. I think it's the best therapy you could ever get. Because what's happening is that we're bringing all of our childhood wounds, if you will, to the relationship. And the spouse seems to be the one that will help us bring those hurts to the surface. Now, and they're not the ones to cure those, but they certainly can trigger those. And I say the reason that is that our relationship is probably the closest thing to family that we could ever be in with a relationship. In fact, you ever notice if you're fighting or arguing or you get upset or something, and you're starting to not sound like the adult anymore, you're now sounding like the child that, well, you brought to the party, if you will. That's what's happening, is that childhood wound is being brought to the surface. And now, maybe you couldn't get angry back then or express that anger or whatever, but now, here you are, you're in the midst of it. And so all of a sudden now this child comes out and they're saying things. Did you ever do that? You said it. And it's like, wow, where did that come from? Etc. Well, one of the things we want to start to do is you may have heard that conversation, count to 10, before you get angry or whatever, or if you are angry. Well, that's really what we have to do. And then the other question we can ask ourselves is, what is this reminding me of? And again, this is going to take some work. By the way, all the tools and techniques and practices and principles you're ever going to learn, you're not just going to learn them and then put them to work right away. It's almost like saying that you're going to work your biceps and, okay, then it's strong, it's built, okay, I'm done. No, it's going to take work. It's going to take work. It's going to take the same thing with these tools, these relationship tools that we're talking about. It's going to take work. But what does this remind me of can really bring you back into really what you have power over, which is you. You don't have power over how your spouse is going to be or not be. You have power over you. That another rhyme, by the way. If it's to be, it's up to me. So if I'm going to have a great relationship, it's not up to my wife, it's up to me, you see. And that's where we want to start operating from. It's up to me. And so you're looking at that from a place of, all right, what's this reminding me of? Oh, God, I remember when I never did get my way. I never did have this, or I never could have that, and so on. And so now you can start working on that within yourself. And by the way, it's a good thing to be talking about when you are together. Now, not when you're in that fight. It's not a good time to be talking about what this is reminding you of. But once you get that, and you'll handle the fight. The best bet is with any argument or whatever is that one of you have to step back. It's hard to argue with just one person. So one of you is going to have to rise up and be strong enough to say, yeah, I'm done with this. No, okay, yeah, all right. And again, there's another saying is that, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because you could stay doing this in the relationship and in the argument and all. Yeah, you can keep doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that. And you could be right. And you could be right. And the unfortunate thing about people who want to be right is they're usually fighting with people who want to be right too. And so they're right, you're right. Guess what? We just got a tug of war. So one of us have to back off and say, okay, it's more important for me to be happy than it is to be right. And so when we're being happy's up here, you see. And so that's where we want to be operating, from up here, because when we're up here, we can handle more of what's going on here. All of us do what I call spouse stuff, and somebody, like the tube off the toothpaste, or the squeezing it from the middle of the toothpaste, by the way, which, come on, the middle, the bottom is the way it should, and it's supposed to go up like that. So, oh wait, I divert. Wait a minute. Yeah, but whatever. So every one of us do spouse stuff. So, but if we're here, if we brought ourselves here in a relationship to being happy, in relationship to looking for the good in the relationship, in being up on this level, and the spouse does their spouse stuff, it's a lot easier to handle the spouse stuff. Oh, okay, there she goes again, or there he goes again, etc. But when you're down here, for whatever reason you are, and you haven't brought yourself up, and then that person does spouse stuff, it's like World War III. You say, because you don't have as much power to really not be in alignment with or in opposition to what it is she's done or he's done. Our job is to stay here, and as we're doing that, then the spouse stuff doesn't become as big a deal. It's like anything else. Even this virus thing that we talked about last week. If you're here and the virus is going on, you're going to be better suited to handle all this stuff. But if you go down into the virus conversation and stay there, or below it, then you're not going to be as effective in really taking on what it is you need to do and be in order to weather this storm but to thrive in the storm, you see. And so our job then is to really come from the I rather than coming from you, because that's what it seemed to do. And there's another conversation I've heard before. Well, if she only would be this way, then it would be perfect. Or if he would only do this, then it would be perfect. Now you've got a conversation about your expectations, and those expectations, I don't know if you live long enough or not, but they're not always going to show up the way you think they're supposed to. And so the expectations need to be not necessarily what you're looking for, but what you're perceiving to be. We talked about precepts. Now, a precept is basically something that we've made up. Could have been a long time ago, could have been a little while ago, but we've made it up. But then we go out and start finding evidence to support that precept that we had made up in the first place, you see. So, and I gave the analogy of being shy. If somebody says I'm shy, that's a precept. There's no valve in them called the shy valve. Oh my God, they were born with that valve. Poor person, right? That's something made up. But now it's true. In fact, they'd fight with you if you told them they made it up. But now they're going out collecting evidence. They may go to a party, not meet anybody. See, because I'm shy. May not have the number of friends they want, career they want, income. See, because I'm shy. So they're out there collecting all this evidence to be right about that which they've made up. That's now true for them. Now, we human beings, we got a lot of those. And so, but if we go into our relationship with these kind of precepts, somewhat like, let's say, men, your precept could possibly be, she's always nagging me, she's always putting me down, she's always making me wrong, she's never satisfied. If that's a precept that you're working on, you're going to start finding evidence to support it, etc. Or women, if you have a precept, something that you've made up that's now your truth, he doesn't care, he doesn't respect me, he doesn't love me, he doesn't show love, he's not worth this, whatever the precept may be, then that's what you're going to find evidence for. So even though you're talking to each other in a regular conversation, the other won't hear what the other's saying if we're creating those kind of negative precepts. You'll hear from that negative precept. So our job, and precepts are all made up, by the way, just like every conversation that we create is made up. So our job is to make up precepts that empower us, that when we find the evidence to support that precept, then it's going to get us that happy marriage or relationship. A precept, something like, yeah, she cares about me, she really respects me, she really loves me, she really is really in awe of me, etc. Or she's saying to him, or in her own mind saying, yeah, he's a great provider, he's a great husband, he's a great dad, he really respects us all, he gives to us, I trust him to motivate, etc. So all these conversations now are shifting, so they're lining up with you seeing the good in that person in your own mind through those precepts rather than the bad. Now you'll start finding more evidence to support the precept that is the good about that person, and not as many precepts as the bad about that person. And this, again, this takes work. And I've heard this so many times in relationships. I mean, we've been coaching relationships for a number of years. My wife Mercedes and I, we're going to come up on 25 years in May, by the way, as our relationship, our marriage anniversary. But one of the things I hear about in relationships, they say things like, "Oh, I didn't know it's going to have to work that hard," or "I didn't know it's going to be that hard." I didn't know. It's like, come on, anything worthwhile is going to take work. It's not like, you want to be in great shape or whatever. You got to work at that. You want to have a great business. You're going to have to work at that. You want to have a great marriage. You have to work at it. It's just the way that it is. So don't make it work. Just make it a training. And this is a great time to be training yourself in this period that we are brought together in the home. And so from here going, I want you to do a couple of things. One is this: keep in the conversation called, my job is to be happy as opposed to right. We're done being right machines. We want to now work on being happy. And the more happy you are, happy spouse, happy house. And so this is how we're going to create that happy house, taking one step at a time, one day at a time, and just practice it. Go forward from here with that commitment called, it's up to me to create this relationship to be the way it is. And when the spouse is in that same place, it's up to me to create the relationship the way that it is. Now you're working in that synergy that we talked about, that mastermind alliance that's going to get you there. So work this week, be together with it, be safe, be happy. Use this time to help your marriage grow. And until next time, live the life you love and love the life you live. Bye now.